Hey, congratulations for being part of the Many Saints of Newark.
Thank you so much.
Hey, so tell us how you got this part. What was that audition process like for this role?
Well, I didn't even know it was The Sopranos until we did a little bit of research because it was the audition was Untitled New Jersey Project, and it was Michael Gandolfini lookalike, and the character name was Tony, and so we were like, we put the pieces together a bit, and we figured out this is the Sopranos prequel movie, The Many Saints of Newark, and we freaked out a little bit, and my dad sat down with me and we watched a few Sopranos episodes, skipping past the bada bing parts, obviously, but uh, I did the audition, and it wasn't like any normal audition because the casting director, Deborah Dion, sat me down in this chair, and I normally never sit down for auditions. But she had me sit down, and we just did the first line, and we did the first scene, and she seemed to really enjoy it, and so she gave me a little bit of direction, like do it a little bit more dramatic, and then we did it again, more excited, and then we started talking, and she started to get to know me. And then we did my favorite scene, which is the F word scene, where I get to just say a bunch of F words. And she seemed to really like that scene too. And so we talked a little bit more, and the audition lasted like 15 minutes, which never happens. It's mostly like max 3 minutes long. And then she walked out with me, and she talked with my mom, which also never happens. So all the signs were looking up. And then 2 weeks later, I was sitting down doing my math homework, and my mom walks in with her phone out recording, and she hands me an envelope, and I'm like, I think I know what this is. And I open it up, and it's The Sopranos. Congratulations, William. You booked the role of young Tony Soprano. We're so effing proud of you. And I cried, and it's a moment I'll never forget.
Wow, that is pretty awesome. Do you see yourself as like a young Tony Soprano, or rather a younger Gandolfi?
I always try my best to be the nicest person, and for some reason, a lot of the roles that I booked are for bullies. And I'm like, I mean, as long as I'm booking something, that's great. But then it's like people are like, William, you're so nice. How are you playing this angry Tony Soprano guy? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Michael Gandolfini reached out to me the second I booked the role, and he explained to me what Tony really means to people, and how we can portray Tony as a younger kid, because people don't know what that's like yet.
So tell us, how did you try to portray or approach this younger Tony Soprano that we haven't seen yet?
Well, I wanted to portray the innocence of Tony, because as a kid, Tony doesn't really know what he's involved in and what his parents are, what his dad's doing and what his uncle's doing. And Tony doesn't know what's going on, but and he really is just deep down a really nice person that wants to do the right thing. But he's pushed down into this mobster box by all those around him, and he feels like he has to become this big, scary, angry man, where he really just wants to help people around him and help his family.
So you did watch a few episodes. Could you share some of the episodes you did watch, or your parents let you watch?
Well, we watched the whole first season, skipping past bada bing cards again, and then we watched a few select episodes in the later episodes of the series. The one scene I really remember vividly is the scene where Tony is strangling this guy when he's taking his daughter out to tour colleges in the first season. I think it's episode 7, season 1, and he just strangles this guy, and it's such an intense scene. There's no music, there's nothing else going on. It's just Tony like focused on and you can tell in his eyes, he's like, God, I'm doing this. Why am I doing this? I know I have to do this, but why am I doing this? And that scene really resonated with me, and it showed me that Tony really is somebody who doesn't love that he has to do this, but this is all he knows. And yeah.
Do you feel a lot of pressure on portraying this younger Tony Soprano? Because there are a lot of big fans of this.
Yeah, they are the cruelest judges, I would say. It was pretty terrifying going into this initially, but then once Michael reached out and sort of calmed me down and was like, hey, we're going to do a great job. And from the beginning, he referred to Tony as our character, which was so generous because he really didn't have to do that, because I know this means so much to him and his family. And I really just wanted to make them proud.
Now, I know most of the movie, Michael is the one that's portraying Tony Soprano. Do you have a lot of scenes in the film?
I'd actually say the movie is kind of split down the middle. It's okay. Half of it is, I'd say around, the movie is exactly 2 hours long. I'd say 55 minutes of it is like 1967. So that's the youngest people. That's me. That's Matteo Conforti, who plays young Janice. And obviously there's Alessandra Nivola, who plays Dickie, and John Bernthal and Vera Farmiga, and Corey Stoll. And then sort of halfway through, after the F-word scene in front of Holston's, it slowly fades to 1972 with Michael and Dickie as the opening shot to that.
Wow. You know, I haven't seen the film. It's actually in one of the films that I do want to watch. But was there a scene where you're kind of like getting off the boat and you're meeting your uncle for the first time or something like that? Is that this movie? I'm trying to remember. I think
it is.
I think I've seen a clip of that. That's you, right? It's like I
don't know. Were you at CinemaCon? Because I know they showed it.
Yes.
Okay, then yeah, that was me. That was one of my favorite scenes that we shot, because that was Alessandra Nivola, Dickie, and I meeting Hollywood Dick, who's played by Ray Liotta, and Jessipina, who's played by Michela De Rossi. That was my first scene with Ray Liotta, and also my last scene with Alessandra, which was also really sad. But it was such a cool scene because it was a ship coming in from Italy, and all these people were in these magnificent suits and dresses coming into the pier after traveling from Italy. And travel at that time, you had to be all dressed up and fancy. And so just to see this whole crowd of people in these amazing suits and dresses, and all like with these amazing mustaches and hairstyles, it showed me how much goes into just one scene. And it was like being teleported back to 1967. And it was really, really cool to see that whole thing come together.
How young were you when you took on this role? Because I remember watching that at CinemaCon. I think you look a whole lot different.
I do. It's crazy. We just saw it recently, a few weeks ago, and we were like, "Was that me? Did they like raise my voice a little bit? They must have done that. They must have done something to this." But like, it was in 2019. I was 12 I was 11 when I booked the role, and I was 12 when we shot it. And it was crazy because it's been pushed back for like 2 years. And it was crazy to see myself back then. It's kind of weird to see myself like with such a high voice.
How do you handle a dramatic role like this? Because I looked through your filmography. A lot of your previous work are more lighthearted and comedic.
Yeah, I always love rolling with a character. Like, that's something that I've been passionate about since I was in like preschool. I always commit to a character, and being able to do something that's more dramatic, it felt more my style, because I like putting in a lot of emotion, and that's something that's really special to me, was being able to work on this movie and being able to have such a dramatic role and to show a lot of emotion.
So you mentioned that there were a scene with a bunch of F-bombs that you had to drop. Did they kind of like tempered you a bit, or was your parents there, make sure that you don't get carried away with it?
Well, to practice the F-bombing.
There's a practice.
Yeah. My dialect coach, Coley Calhoun, had me, against my parents' will, go around the house looking at certain things and saying, "Effing water bottle, effing couch, effing table, effing dog." And my parents were like, "Do you really have to be doing this right now?" I was like, "Yeah, it's my work, guys." They're like, "Oh, you're right. Okay, fine." And so I would go around, and then my little brother, Jack, would join in, and he'd be like, Can I help Bubba say the F word too?" And they were like, and then before they could answer, he would just be like saying my lines with me, and it was so funny. But the scene in front of Holston's is more of a lighthearted scene because Tony's with one of his friends and he just got suspended from school and he doesn't want to get in trouble with his dad or his mom. And they're sort of joking around, and Tony's friend is just like, "You're depressed," and he goes inside of Holston's, and I'm like,
that is pretty funny. I'm going to go ahead and assume ever since this movie production wrap, you're not allowed to drop any more F-bombs, right?
Absolutely, yeah. They're like, "Okay, it's over. Stop."
So after you now you got a dramatic role under your belt after all those comedic roles. What kind of roles do you seek out now for yourself, William?
Well, right now I'm just really excited for this to premiere, and I really do enjoy acting so much, and I'm so blessed to be able to have taken on this role, and I hope something comes from this. Honestly, I'm just here for the ride, and I'm here to enjoy it, and I'm here to have a great time.
And I'm curious, what actually got you started? Did you get that acting bug like when you were really young?
I was like 4 years old when my best friend, he was an actor, and I saw him in this Halloween costume commercial once, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so I was like to my parents, "Can I do that? Can I do that?" And they weren't so sure about the whole kid actor thing because they had heard stories about it, and they were like, "I don't know," but they knew I loved to act, and they knew I really enjoyed it. And so they would let me go to like acting camps and film camps. And then this one camp I went to, the director of the camp was like, "Hey, I understand that you really like this. I have a contact with an agent. If you want to, I could set up an audition with that agent." And then my parents were like, "Well, I mean, I don't know, but if it's something you really want to do, then you should pursue it." And I was like, "Yes, please. Thank you so much." So I went and auditioned for the agent, and they signed me. And I was like, "Wait, what just happened?" Like, I didn't even know they signed me until we got back in the car. And my mom was like, "How's it feel?" I was like, "What? Yeah, I hope they give us a call." She's like, "No, you just got signed." And I freaked out. I lost my crap. I was like, "Oh my gosh." But it was really amazing to get in acting. And I just started going on auditions, and I didn't book anything for 2 years until I booked one episode of a Disney Channel role. And then 2 weeks after that, I got the audition for The Sopranos, and the rest is history.
Do you enjoy this life? Because obviously, starting as a kid, being a kid actor, that's something you can't, go back and take away.
I love acting so much, being able to portray this character and come up with little ad libs and stories. I wasn't able to ad lib in this movie because Mr. Chase is such a genius and he picked out every word so perfectly. But being able to act is such a blessing. And I know a lot of people want to do it too. And I'm just so fortunate and lucky to be able to have this experience.
You know what? I think you have a great future, great and bright future. I can't wait to see more of you. And I'm definitely going to check you out, William, in the Many Saints of Newark.
Thank you so much.
But
thank you.
It's a pleasure speaking with you. And hopefully we get to do this again in the future.
Pleasure speaking with you too. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Bye now.